All right, strap yourselves in because today we're diving deep, deep into tyranny.
Deep, deep. But
Like, not the way you might think.
right, no dusty history lectures here.
This is going to be practical.
Super practical.
Oh.
Using On Tyranny as our guide.
Yes, Timothy Snyder's On Tyranny.
It's less about, like what tyranny is,
Yeah.
and more about the how.
The how.
How to spot it, how it creeps in, and how to resist it.
Most importantly, how to resist it.
Mm-hmm.
So Snyder, he's got this really sharp definition of tyranny.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
Basically, it's like when someone or some group
Mm-hmm.
grabs power and kind of just sidesteps the law
Right, they just do whatever they want.
to get what they want.
Exactly.
But what's really interesting, what's really cool is how Snyder uses lessons from, like, the 20th century.
Intense stuff.
Super intense.
To give us a toolkit for protecting our own freedoms now.
Today.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's pretty relevant.
Super relevant.
So toolkit, like, literally, he's got 20 lessons.
20 lessons.
And the first one, I gotta say, it's a real eye-opener.
Yeah.
Do not obey in advance.
That's a good one.
Like, okay, you read that and you're like, well, duh.
Right.
Like, who obeys tyrants willingly?
Yeah, you'd think it'd be obvious.
But that's where Snyder is, like, really being clever.
Okay, I'm listening.
Because he's talking about those little pressures,
The subtle ones.
the almost invisible pressures to conform.
Yeah, even when nothing seems that bad yet.
When it's not, like, super in your face.
Oh,
it's like,
Like what?
I don't know, like, when you get a new boss
Oh, yeah.
and suddenly everyone's, like, super eager to please.
Oh, yeah.
Even though the boss hasn't done anything yet.
Haven't shown their true colors yet.
Is that what Snyder's getting at?
Yeah, spot on. He uses examples like Nazi Germany
Oh.
and communist Czechoslovakia,
Okay.
where people's desire to just fit in, to not rock the boat,
Yeah.
that actually helped those regimes gain a foothold.
It's like you're paving the road
Paving the road.
for the tyrant's limousine.
With
With good intentions.
Yeah, with your own good intentions, that's scary.
So, okay, so that's kind of terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
So we talking like not raising your hand when something feels off or going along with a joke.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it's a little like
Questionable.
iffy. Yeah, like those tiny things.
Exactly, those tiny things. And think of it like this.
Yeah.
You know that the Milgram experiment?
Oh, yeah.
Where people thought they were shocking someone?
Just because the guy in the lab coat told him to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Snyder's saying that same human tendency to obey even when it feels wrong,
Yeah.
that's how atrocities can happen.
Oh, wow.
Like little by little.
Step by step.
Step by step, yeah.
This is making me rethink every office birthday cake I've ever pretended to enjoy.
Oh, no.
But, okay, so if blindly obeying is out,
Right.
then what? What's the alternative?
Good question.
Are we all supposed to become, like, rebels overnight?
No, not quite.
Okay.
His second lesson is defend institutions.
Oh, interesting.
It is a call to action,
Okay.
but not like the,
Not storming the Bastille?
no, not that kind, no.
Okay.
More like
Yeah.
the courts, newspapers, unions.
It's like the pillars of...
The pillars of a free society.
Yeah.
Protecting them is vital.
So not just using those institutions,
yeah.
but actually defending their right to exist.
Exactly.
Because I feel like a lot of people just assume those things will always be there.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like air.
Like the air we breathe.
Yeah, we don't even think about it.
And that's the trap. That's what he's pointing out. He uses the example
Oh, yeah.
of German Jews in 1933.
Okay.
Many of them genuinely believed that Hitler would not dismantle those core structures.
Wow.
And they were wrong. Tragically so.
That's a gut punch.
Yeah.
It makes you think about all those like slippery slope arguments people make.
The slippery slope.
Like, are we already on a slippery slope without realizing it?
That's a question worth pondering, for sure.
Especially with all the chatter these days.
About what?
About, like, gerrymandering and voter suppression.
Oh, yeah.
It all ties into, like, Snyder's warning
Right.
about the fragility of elections.
And the one-party state.
The one-party state.
Yeah.
And that's his third lesson, right?
That's right.
Beware the one-party state, which, I mean...
It's relevant.
Chillingly relevant.
Very relevant.
Because, I mean, any election could be the last one.
If one side gets total control...
If one side gets total control...
It's happened.
Right, we've seen it.
Historically, over and over.
Yeah, and, I mean, and it's not just ancient history.
Right, it's not.
I mean, think about how quickly
Yeah.
things can shift when one party dominates the narrative, controls the information flow.
Exactly.
Snyder is urging us to be vigilant.
To actively support the multi-party system.
Yeah.
Make sure we're not
sleepwalking
into a one-sided future.
Okay, this is making me want to go fact check everything I see on social media.
All of it, yeah.
But speaking of things we see, things that, influence us, Snyder's fourth lesson
is about symbols.
It's about symbols, right?
Yeah, beware the one-party state.
Oh, that's right. It is that one. So he's saying we need to be aware of the symbols we display or endorse.
What we choose to put out there.
Yeah.
Because they can be incredibly powerful. Even sneaky tools for normalizing tyranny.
For normalizing tyranny. You mean like...
what kind of thing are you thinking?
Like remember those Support Our Troops ribbons? That everyone slapped on their cars after 9/11?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I remember feeling weird about it even back then. Yeah. Like, is that the kind of thing he's talking about?
Yeah, that's the kind of thing, yeah.
Okay.
He uses more extreme examples, of course.
Right.
Like the Nazis,
right.
They would mark Jewish shops with hateful symbols.
Right.
Or Soviet propaganda posters that dehumanize certain groups. So those symbols...
They seem small at first.
Very subtle.
But they really...
shift what's considered normal and acceptable.
So it's not just about being on the quote-unquote right side of an issue.
The right side.
But being aware of how even well-intentioned symbols can be, like... toe-opted. Or they can contribute to this dangerous atmosphere.
Absolutely. It's about the bigger picture.
Okay.
But it's not all doom and gloom,
That's good.
Snyder also talks about the power
of what?
Of everyday actions.
Like what?
Like making eye contact.
Oh.
Having those small chats with people.
Oh, yeah.
Building relationships. These seemingly insignificant things.
Yeah.
They build trust and community.
Which is crucial. So wait, like being a friendly neighbor is actually a low-key act of defiance?
Kind of, yeah.
I like that.
He calls it corporeal politics.
Corporeal politics.
Yeah, the idea that our physical presence and interactions in the real world, that they matter.
Especially now.
Right.
When everyone's so glued to their screens.
And isolated. So
yeah.
It's a powerful reminder.
It's like put down the phone, get out there.
Talk to people. And that's how we fight the bad guys. Exactly.
I'm into it.
Good.
But what about when things get really bad?
Uh-oh.
Like protest in the streets bad.
Yeah.
Does Snyder have any advice for that?
He does.
Okay.
And he highlights a real-world example.
Oh, okay.
The Solidarity movement in Poland.
The Solidarity movement, yeah.
This was a huge deal.
Okay.
Workers, intellectuals, even members of the church all came together to demand change.
Okay, that's so inspiring.
Yeah, it is.
But wasn't Poland under communist rule back then?
They were, yes.
How did they even manage that?
That's what's so powerful about it.
Yeah.
Even under intense oppression, diverse groups can unite.
And make a difference.
Yes, but there's a but. There's a but, and this is where Snyder gets a bit cautious.
Yeah.
He also talks about the dangers of surveillance and the importance of a private life.
Wait, so is he saying we shouldn't organize or protest?
No.
Because Big Brother is watching?
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's more about being smart.
Smart.
Yeah.
Okay.
He urges us to be aware
Ooh.
of our digital footprint.
Okay.
Maybe consider alternative forms of communication.
Like what? Carrier pigeons and stuff?
I mean, hey, if it works.
Okay.
But, more realistically,
right.
Definitely scrub our computers regularly.
What are you thinking? Like dusting for digital fingerprints?
That's a good way to put it.
Okay.
Yeah, just being aware.
But isn't that all a bit like tinfoil hat territory?
Right,
unless I'm planning a revolution or something, why should I worry about being spied on?
Because tyrants, they thrive on information.
Okay.
The more they know about us,
the
easier it is to manipulate and control.
So it's not even about, doing something wrong.
It's not just about that.
It's just about them having the power.
The power to twist anything.
To twist anything.
Even innocent stuff.
Yeah.
To fit their narrative.
Okay, that's creepy.
Yeah, it is a little creepy.
Because, even if I'm just posting cat memes, someone could be analyzing that to figure out how to manipulate me.
It might sound paranoid.
Yeah.
But that's the world we live in.
Kind of is.
Think about how much data companies already collect on us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now imagine that power.
In the wrong hands?
In the hands of someone with truly bad intentions.
Okay, I'm officially spooked.
Did warn you.
So what can we do about it?
Right, good question.
Is it all about going off the grid?
No.
Living like a hermit?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Snyder's got another lesson.
For that. Okay, what is it?
It's one that's super relevant today, especially with all the talk about
fake news
and whatnot.
Yeah.
He says, believe in truth.
Okay, that's a little vague.
It is a little vague. Like, okay, truth is good.
Right.
Who's arguing with that?
Yeah.
But how do we even know what's true anymore?
That's the point. Exactly the point he's making.
Yeah.
Snyder's drawing on the work of Victor Klemperer.
Victor Klemperer, okay.
This guy who studied how the Nazis used language to warp reality.
Oh, wow.
So Klemperer, he saw how seemingly simple words and phrases could be twisted to distort the truth and demonize anyone who disagreed. So it's not just about lying outright. It's about using language itself as a weapon. As a weapon. Whoa.
It's wild, right?
That's,
And it's scarily relevant today.
Oh, yeah.
Think about all the buzzwords being thrown around in politics right now.
Yeah.
The way certain terms are used to shut down debate or make people afraid to even speak up.
Okay, mind blown.
Yeah, it's intense.
So what's the antidote?
Good question.
If language itself can be corrupted.
Right. How do we even fight back?
Yeah, how do we even...
Well, Snyder's got two key defenses.
Okay.
Critical thinking.
Critical thinking.
And books.
Books.
Yeah.
Right.
He argues that books offer a deeper, more nuanced understanding.
Than just, like, headlines.
Not sound bites, not social media.
So reading is resistance.
In a way, yes.
Okay, I can get behind that.
Good.
But what about the internet itself?
That's a good point.
Look, it's not all bad.
No, of course not.
We're literally having this conversation because of the internet.
Thanks to the internet, yeah.
Yeah.
He acknowledges that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The internet can be amazing, spreading truth,
Mm-hmm.
connecting people.
Yeah.
But it's also a superhighway for lies and manipulation.
Yeah.
So he's urging us to be
mindful,
active.
Active, not just
passive.
Passive
Yeah.
in how we use it.
Exactly.
So not just blindly clicking and sharing, but actually like thinking about what we're reading.
Checking source.
Ours.
All that good stuff.
Okay.
It's about reclaiming our agency, you know, in a world where we're bombarded with information.
Yeah.
Designed to mislead us.
So be the detective of your own digital life.
That's a great way to put it.
I like that.
Good.
But all this talk about truth and lies, it makes me think of that phrase.
What phrase?
Post-truth.
Ah, yes.
Is that kind of what Snyder's getting at?
He actually makes a chilling comparison.
Oh, okay.
He says post-truth is essentially pre-fascism.
Whoa.
It's like when facts don't matter anymore.
Yeah.
We just accept whatever version of reality suits us best.
Right.
That's fertile ground.
For tyranny.
For tyranny to take root.
So it's not just about being right or wrong.
It's bigger than that.
It's about
the idea of truth itself.
Truth itself.
Being under attack.
That is heavy stuff.
It is heavy stuff.
So if we lose sight of what's true,
we lose our ability to hold power accountable.
And that's when things get really dangerous.
Yeah, that's when it gets scary.
But Snyder doesn't just leave us there.
No, he doesn't.
Like wringing our hands.
Thank goodness.
Because what good is a warning without a way to fight back?
Right, exactly.
So what does he suggest we actually do?
He's got several specific actions he recommends.
Oh, okay, good. I'm ready.
And they might surprise you. He says, contribute to good causes.
Oh, okay.
It might sound almost too simple. But think about it.
Okay.
Getting involved in organizations that reflect your values.
Yeah.
Whether it's political stuff or even just like local volunteering. It strengthens what Snyder calls civil society.
So like a strong community
is
harder for a tyrant to take over.
It's much harder. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Right.
But it also feels kind of small scale. Yeah.
Like when we're talking about like dictators and propaganda.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
It feels like.
It's like, how much can I really do?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's where the brilliance lies.
Okay.
When people are actively engaged, working together for something they believe in,
okay,
they're less likely to fall for that whole the strongman savior routine.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's about building resilience from the ground up.
From the bottom up.
Bottom up, yeah.
I like that.
It is empowering.
It's empowering.
Okay, but Snyder also talks about connecting with
people.
With folks in other countries, right?
Yeah, he does.
I'll deal with that.
Well, it's deeper than just making friends overseas.
Okay.
His 16th lesson is learn from peers in other countries.
Okay.
And it's a reminder that this stuff we're worried about, it's not just a U.S. problem.
Right, right.
You know?
Yeah.
Authoritarianism.
It's ever.
It's popping up all over.
Yeah, yeah.
And those who've experienced it firsthand, they have a lot to teach us.
You know, it's funny you say that because I remember reading that folks in Eastern Europe, places that lived through communism, they were sounding the alarm.
Oh, yeah.
About, like, certain political trends.
Right.
Way before a lot of us here in the States.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
They've seen how fragile things can be, how quickly freedoms can vanish.
Right, right.
So they're not jaded, just aware.
Aware. Snyder's saying we can benefit from that awareness.
Learn from their experience.
It's like that saying those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it.
Right.
But instead of just remembering, it's more like learning from other people's pasts.
Exactly. Shared knowledge is a form of resistance.
Okay, yeah.
But while we're broadening our perspective, got to keep our ears sharp for how language is being used to manipulate us.
Oh, yeah.
Remember what we were talking about earlier?
With
Klemperer?
Klemperer.
Yeah.
And the Nazis twisting words.
How they basically use language as a weapon.
Yeah.
Gives me chills just thinking about it.
Well, Snyder takes it a step further.
Oh.
In his 17th lesson.
Okay.
Listen for dangerous words.
Listen for dangerous words.
And he specifically calls out terms like...
Like what?
Extremism.
Okay.
And terrorism.
Terrorism, because they're often used to silence dissent.
Right.
And justify cracking down on people.
But isn't that tricky?
Yeah, it is.
Because those are real things. Like, terrorism exists.
Right.
So how do we know when it's a genuine threat versus when someone's just using it as an excuse?
That's the million-dollar question.
To grab power.
Snyder's not saying we should ignore real danger.
Right.
But be super critical of how those words are being used. And be suspicious of anyone who benefits from creating a climate of fear.
It's like the more afraid people are, the more willing they are to
give up their freedoms.
Give up their freedoms.
In exchange for safety.
Right.
For that illusion of safety.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
And that feeds right into
his warning.
His warning about
emergency
and
exception.
Exception. Okay.
Tyrants love to manufacture a sense of crisis because then they can swoop in and say, look, you need to give me more power.
Right, to deal with this.
To deal with this, yeah.
It's that whole, like, problem, reaction, solution thing.
Exactly.
Create the problem, get everyone freaking out.
And then offer the solution.
That just happens to benefit you.
That benefits you, exactly.
Shingo.
And it's a tactic as old as time.
Yeah, it really is.
That's why Snyder's urging us to stay calm.
Stay calm.
Think things through.
Yeah.
Even when everyone else is losing their heads.
Yeah, yeah.
Question authority.
Don't just blindly accept what you're told.
Don't be a sheep.
Which brings us back to that whole patriotism thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's not about...
blind allegiance.
Blind allegiance, yeah. It's more about, like...
It's about...
actively protecting what makes your country good.
Yes.
No.
Lesson 19.
Okay.
Be a patriot.
Be a patriot. Okay.
It's all about civic engagement, defending institutions, fighting for everyone's rights.
So it's patriotism as action.
Action, not just words.
Not just empty words.
Exactly.
Love it.
Good.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
Resisting subtle pressures, defending institutions.
Right.
Being wary of symbols.
Symbols and language.
And language, yeah.
Yes.
Investigating the truth.
Investigating, yeah.
But there's one big, scary elephant in the room.
Oh, what's that?
That we haven't really addressed.
What are you thinking?
You mean like...
terror management?
Terror management.
Yeah, yeah. That's a heavy one.
That's a heavy one.
And sadly, it's become even more relevant.
Yeah, especially in recent years.
Yeah.
Recently.
Yeah.
This idea that authoritarians exploit fear and chaos.
Fear and chaos?
Using real or perceived threats.
Doesn't even matter if they're real.
To justify...
To justify all sorts of power grabs.
Yeah, it's like that scene in Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
Where Palpatine uses the Clone Wars.
To become emperor.
To become emperor, yeah.
Classic.
Except way less cool lightsabers.
Right, less cool lightsabers.
But yes.
A perfect analogy.
And Snyder, he doesn't just theorize about it.
No, he doesn't.
He gives, like, chilling historical examples.
He does? Like what?
Like the Reichstag fire in Germany.
Oh, yeah.
Which Hitler used to...
To justify his crackdown on dissent?
Yeah. And
solidify his power.
Solidify his power, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy how a single event, even if it's suspicious or staged,
doesn't even have to be real,
can be used to, like...
to completely shift the political landscape.
Oh, yeah. To make people accept things...
You never would have before.
That they would have never accepted.
Right. Exactly.
And don't forget about Putin.
Oh, yeah. Putin's a great example.
His rise to power was marked by...
a series of terrorist attacks.
Right.
Some real... some questionable...
Some maybe even orchestrated by his own people.
Who knows?
Textbook terror management.
Textbook.
So how do we guard against that?
That's a good question.
I mean, if someone's deliberately trying to manipulate us...
Through fear?
Through fear, how can we even tell what's real?
That's where Snyder's call for critical thinking becomes so crucial.
Okay.
He says, we need to stay calm.
Stay calm.
Resist that urge to panic.
Right.
And give up our freedom.
In exchange for...
a false sense of security.
Right. But that's easier said than done, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, when everyone around you is freaking out, it's hard to be the one saying, like, hey, maybe we should think this through.
Right.
You just get labeled. Like
what?
A conspiracy theorist.
Oh, yeah.
Or, like, a heartless jerk.
Yeah, you become the bad guy.
It's definitely tough.
It is tough.
But remember...
What?
Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite fear.
Exactly.
And that's where Snyder's final lesson comes in.
Which is...
Be as courageous as you can.
Be as courageous as you can. It sounds almost cheesy.
Like something out of a superhero movie.
Like a cheesy superhero movie.
Yeah.
But I guess when we're talking about...
resisting tyranny.
Resisting tyranny. Yeah.
Sometimes you do need a bit of that superhero spirit.
You do.
Why?
Absolutely. Because tyranny thrives on our...
Or what?
Silence, our passivity, when we choose to speak up, to resist.
Yeah.
Even in small ways. We chick away at his power.
Yeah.
And that's where individual action comes in.
Wait, hold on. Before we go there, I want to circle back
Yeah.
to something we touched on earlier.
Okay.
About privacy.
Ah, yes, privacy.
It feels connected to this whole information control thing.
Mm-hmm. It's all connected.
But we haven't really unpacked it fully.
You're right. It's worth revisiting.
Okay.
Snyder's 14th lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Establish a private life.
Establish a private life.
Okay. It gets at something really important.
Okay.
He argues that tyrants
Yeah.
use information to control people. And we need to be really mindful of how much we're giving away.
Giving away. Yeah.
Both online and offline.
It's like that whole, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear.
Oh, yeah, that old chestnut.
Right. But the reality is, even totally innocent stuff can be twisted and used against you.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Think about all the data companies already collect on us.
Yeah.
Our shopping habits, our search history.
Our location.
Our location, everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Now imagine that power.
In the wrong hands.
In the hands of someone who wants to control us.
Right. Not just sell us stuff.
Not just sell us stuff.
Okay. That's officially terrifying.
It is terrifying.
And it's not just about online stuff either.
Right. It's not.
Right.
Oh.
Snyder also talks about being cautious about...
what we share in person.
What we share in person, yeah.
Who we trust.
Who we trust.
All that.
He's reminding us that there's a reason...
Why dictatorships?
Why dictatorships?
Often rely on informants. On people turning on each other.
Yeah.
It creates this climate of fear and suspicion.
Yeah.
Where nobody knows who to trust.
It's like that chilling period in East Germany.
Oh, yeah.
Where the Stasi,
the
secret police, encouraged citizens to spy on each other.
To spy on their neighbors, their friends.
It breaks down communities.
Yeah.
It makes resistance nearly impossible.
And that's exactly what tyrants want.
Right.
They want us isolated, afraid.
Suspicious
of each other.
Right.
But Snyder argues that we have a powerful weapon against that. Connection.
Real human connection.
So it's not just about protecting our own data.
Right.
It's about
building those relationships.
Actively building relationships, fostering trust. Creating those
networks of support.
That tyrants can't infiltrate.
Exactly. He calls for corporeal politics.
Corporeal politics. Getting out there, making eye contact, having those casual conversations,
Right.
building those real-world bonds.
It might sound cheesy.
It might.
But it's a powerful countermeasure.
To that isolation.
To the isolation.
That tyranny thrives on.
Okay, this is making me want to throw a block party.
A block party. Nice.
Invite all my neighbors.
Get to know them.
Get to know them.
Build a little fortress of awesome.
A fortress of awesome, I like that.
Against the forces of darkness.
Yes.
I love it.
But remember, Snyder's not just about defense.
No, he's not.
He also talks about
yeah.
taking positive action.
Taking action.
Making the world a better place.
One small act at a time.
Right. Because what good is fighting against something
exactly
if you don't have something good to fight for?
You got to have something to believe in.
Right. So what are some of those actions he suggests?
He's got a whole bunch.
Okay.
And they're all about engaging with the world, not withdrawing from it.
Right.
Like contributing to good causes.
Okay, yeah.
Learning from folks in other countries.
Well, we talked about that. And even something as simple as taking responsibility for the face of the world.
Yes, that one.
Wait, what does that even mean?
Well, it's not about...
putting on more makeup.
No, not about makeup.
Okay.
It's about paying attention to those little signs of hate and intolerance.
Okay.
And refusing to just look away,
right?
Calling it out, challenging it.
Yeah.
Making it clear that those things aren't welcome.
In your world.
In your world, yeah.
That's powerful.
It is powerful.
It's like, even if you can't change the whole world, you can at least make sure your corner of it,
a little corner,
reflects the values you believe in.
Exactly. And that ties back to his very first lesson.
Oh, okay.
Do not obey in advance.
Right.
It's about recognizing those early warning signs.
It's subtle pressures.
Yeah, those subtle pressures to conform.
Yeah.
And having the courage to say no.
So it's not just about fighting back when the panks are rolling in.
Right.
It's about resisting
those tiny compromises.
Those little erosions of freedom.
The little things that
can pave the way.
For tyranny to take root. Absolutely.
And that resistance
can start small.
Can start with something as simple as...
Like what?
Like making eye contact.
With someone who's being marginalized.
Okay.
Striking up a conversation. Offering a helping hand.
Those small acts of kindness.
Yeah, those little things.
They can chip away.
At that fear and isolation.
That tyranny thrives on.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm getting fired up here.
Good. I like it.
This is making me want to go out and, like, start a community garden.
Right.
Or volunteer at a local shelter.
Great ideas.
Or just be a more aware and engaged citizen.
Engaged, yeah.
But I gotta admit, it's a little overwhelming.
I hear you.
Like, where do you even start with all this?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's something Snyder addresses head on. He reminds us that history, it's full of examples of people who resisted tyranny.
Yeah.
Folks who fought for what they believed in.
Right.
Even when it seemed like all hope was lost.
Yeah.
It's inspiring, really.
It's like those stories they give us.
A blueprint.
A blueprint, yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least some courage points.
At least some courage.
Right.
Yeah.
So, got any favorites?
Oh, so many.
Yeah.
But one that stands out is Václav Havel.
Václav Havel.
Czech writer, who became president after leading the resistance against communist rule.
Wow.
His story shows that even under incredibly oppressive regimes, the power of words and ideas can prevail.
It can.
Yeah.
And closer to home, I mean, there's Rosa Parks.
Oh, of course.
Talk about an individual act of courage sparking a movement.
Her refusal to give up her seat on that bus.
It helped ignite the fight for civil rights in America.
Amazing example.
Okay. Yeah.
Shows that everyday people can be catalysts for change.
Right. So back to my question
of
where to start.
You want to know where to start?
Yeah, where to start?
Snyder offers this simple but profound advice.
Okay.
Be as courageous as you can.
I love that.
You do.
It's acknowledging that we all have different levels of courage.
Different capacities for risk.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not about being some fearless superhero.
Right. Right.
It's just pushing ourselves to do what we can, even when it's scary.
Because courage is a muscle that gets stronger.
With use.
With use, yeah. The more you use it.
The more you use it, yeah.
And it's not always about those grand public...
displays of defiance.
Displays of defiance, yeah. Sometimes it's just...
Sometimes the most courageous act is simply refusing to go along with the crowd.
To stand out, to be different, or just, like, choosing kindness.
Choosing kindness.
When everyone else is choosing, like, hate. Yeah.
So much of this comes down to Those everyday choices.
Right, the words we use.
The symbols we endorse.
The information we consume.
The way we treat each other.
Yeah.
It all adds up.
It really does.
Think about Snyder's lesson about taking responsibility for the face of the world.
Taking responsibility for the face of the world.
He's not talking about.
Yeah, like I said, not putting on more makeup.
No.
Oh.
It's about refusing to look away from hate, intolerance, injustice.
Right, again.
You have to actively push back.
Push back against it.
Make it clear that those things have no place.
In our world.
In our world, yeah.
It's like that quote, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing.
That's a powerful one.
Silence in the face of tyranny.
It is a form of complicity.
It is, yeah.
Snyder reminds us that tyrants, they often rely on our willingness to
just conform,
to go along with the crowd.
Not make way.
Not rock the boat, yeah.
So it's in those moments
where we choose to stand out.
Where we choose to
be different.
To speak truth to power.
Yeah, that we truly exercise our freedom.
And that brings us back
to that first lesson.
To his first lesson, yeah.
Do not obey in advance.
Do not obey in advance.
It's about recognizing those pressures.
Those subtle pressures.
Yeah, those early warning signs.
And just having the guts to say,
no, not doing that.
Nope, not doing that, yeah.
We have more power than we realize.
We do.
Yeah, we don't have to wait for permission.
For order.
For someone else to tell us what to do.
We can choose a different path.
Exactly.
It can be overwhelming, though, right?
It can be, yeah.
Like, the world feels so chaotic sometimes.
Yeah.
It's easy to feel like...
What?
like our little actions don't really matter.
I hear you.
Yeah.
But remember, tyranny thrives on...
On what?
That feeling of helplessness.
Right.
Of isolation.
When we connect with each other. Build communities.
Support the causes we believe in.
We chip away at that foundation.
We chip away at it bit by bit.
Okay, so what's the big takeaway here?
What do you want people to remember?
Yeah, what do you hope our listeners walk away with?
After this deep dive.
On tyranny.
I hope they feel empowered, informed, and maybe a little fired up.
Fired up, I like that.
This book,
yeah,
it's not just a warning, it's a call to action.
A call to action.
It's a reminder that we all have a role to play in defending freedom, in resisting tyranny, in creating a better world.
It's like Snyder is saying, hey, the future, it's not some pre-written script. We're writing it right now with every choice we make.
Every action we take.
Yes, so powerful.
He leaves us with this powerful thought. History does not repeat, but it does instruct.
But it does instruct, okay?
So let's learn from the past.
Be inspired by those who came before us.
And face the future with
courage.
Courage, determination.
And a commitment.
To building a world where tyranny has no place.
I like that.
I do too.